Hi, I am Joey Lorraine. I'm a dancer and an astrologer who would love to give an astrological reading on Martha Graham in tribute to her 117th birthday. Did everybody see what Google did for her birthday? Whoa, they really outdid themselves there. And that inspired me to really do this through my passion for astrology and dance and Martha. So, what is most important in Martha's chart? By far, undoubtedly, her moon in Leo. That is what really is the staple that makes Martha Graham who she is and how she's remembered today, right? Why is that? It's because in her chart, a lot of force, a lot of different planets and energies are like coming down like a ton of bricks, boom, onto her moon in Leo. What's that about? Theatricality, performance. The moon is about what you really need to feel secure, to feel at home, so that when you wake up in the morning, you can feel like you can make it through the day. For Martha, it was the stage. She had to be on stage to feel at home, to feel secure, to feel, like she was getting her deepest needs met. And, that's why I think that drag queens would probably kill to impersonate her, is because she had this undeniable urge to emit the like intensity of flamboyant drama through every single cell in her body, right? More than any other theatrical icon. Laurence Olivier, Bette Davis, in fact, she really kind of coached Bette Davis. Martha Graham was the epitome of drama, period. And that's why I think when she stopped performing, she was lost. She was like literally homeless because she wasn't getting her basic needs met of being on stage and being bigger than life and expressing that fiery emotional theatricality, right? That's what happens when your deepest needs don't get met. You start to fall into depression, things become hard. That's what I think happened to her. She got very depressed. She maybe had struggles with alcoholism, right? So you want to look into your own chart to see where your moon is, what sign it's in, where it's in your chart. It's going to tell you a lot about what the bottom line is for you in your basic needs to feel like a functioning human being. What really interests me most is, however, the connection that she has astrologically with this amazing star, right, and connection with her Pluto that really signifies, her role as an icon in modern dance, in history, in culture in general, right? That has to do with the fact that she's kind of won the lottery, so to speak. She's won the astrological lottery through this very special connection she has with the brightest star in Taurus constellation. It's called Aldebaran, in connection with, again, her Pluto. And many famous people have these kind of lottery hits in their astrological charts. Abraham Lincoln is one of them. Oprah Winfrey is another. Martha Graham is the one we're talking about now. So if we're so lucky to have a connection with a royal fixed star to one of our natal planets, it almost promises great honor and happiness and abundance in one way or another, especially connected with the mythology of whatever that star represents, right? So for Martha, this Aldebaran, the brightest star in the Taurus constellation, if you get a telescope, you can find the Taurus constellation, right? And it's the left eye of the bull. It's also called the bull slayer, right? Is making love. That's a way of expressing it in layman's terms. It's melding together and merging completely with the planet of power, right? Which, of course, Martha Graham is completely known for. Power, spiritual transformation, gut-wrenching experience, right? That is the essence of Martha, the contraction, right? Everything in your body coming into your gut, the deepest part of your being, to represent this gut-wrenching experience of pain. That really is when you're getting into what Martha is really kind of known for and all about. So that's what she has going on with her chart through these symbolisms. Also, Aldebaran is most connected with the Iranian Persian sun god Mitha. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it's associated also with Christ. So Mitha, the similarities are that they both Mitha, this Iranian Persian sun god, and Jesus Christ were born on December 25th, and they both were born from virgins. The main distinction, however, is that Mitha was a warrior god, right? He was militant. He was vigilant. He was courageous. He was a soldier. And if you followed him with devout, militant devotion, right? Does this sound similar to Martha Graham? Right? Devout, militant, religious kind of devotion. Hail to the Martha! Hail to the Martha, right? That was what it was all about. If you were not hailing to the Martha, you were hailing on out of there because you weren't dancing for her. Martha Graham ran her company like a battalion, and if you danced for her, you were like the Marine. Yeah, you were like the Marine of Martha Graham. Being a dancer for Martha Graham was like being on the front lines. That's how deep the devotion was. You put your life on the line, right, for that war. You put your life on the line for what Martha stood for, period. I also feel like it's really interesting that Mitha was so connected with Christianity. It is debated that Christianity borrowed a lot of its doctrines from Mitha. It kind of fell into its way in Roman culture and became a warrior religious cult in Roman culture. And that makes me think more about this religious kind of experience connected with dance and the planet Neptune, which in astrology is directly connected with dance and music and all art forms. In that the artistic expression is to praise the divine. Yes, Neptune is associated with Pisces, Christ, sacrifice, devotion, essential, really like religious experience. And I think that Martha Graham really did embody this kind of religious essence of what dance is through herself and through building her company, right? And it was this whole Pluto symbolism, a gut-wrenching experience for her to go through this. She was poor. She struggled. It was like her soul was being ripped up inside and, around over and over again to be able to make this happen as an artist. To build something real, right? She would not have been able to do it if she wasn't a Taurus. And that's what I want to talk about next, is the actual constellation of Taurus and the mythology behind it, because this Aldebaran, right, is the brightest star in the Taurus constellation, and Martha happens to be a Taurus sun sign. It really does, I think, intensify the impact of this Taurus energy in her chart. So what is Taurus energy all about? Ownership, right? King Minos is probably a more familiar figure when we think of Taurus. King Minos, I don't know, Greek god, Roman god, probably Greek, who was very rich, right, powerful, wealthy, owned everything, and he made this little deal with the sea god Poseidon. Oh, Poseidon's going to give him all the seas if King Minos is willing to sacrifice this beautiful sacred bull. So Poseidon goes through with his part of the deal, and at the very end, King Minos backs out because he does not want to let go of this sacred bull. He does not want to sacrifice the bull, right? He feels like it's not practical. Like, this bull is so beautiful and it can breed more bulls to produce more so that I can have more, so why give it away? I don't think so. And then that wasn't good for the myth, and then, of course, like most myths do, it ended with like this whole redemption, scene. So I feel like, in essence, that really is very connected with Martha's experience as a dancer, right? Taurus is about ownership. What do I value? What belongs to me, right? Is it my, whether it be my money, whether it be the leather jacket that I bought 3 weeks ago, whether it be my home, what is it that belongs to me? What is it that I own? And what is it that I value? Is it my friendships? Is it my family? Is it my education? What do I hold dearest to my heart that I would not want to let go of? And because Taurus is a fixed earth sign, usually this will be something material, right? The Taurus sign is the hoarder of the zodiac. It's the materialist of the zodiac because they just don't want to let go of their possessions of what they own. So for Martha Graham, right, her most prized possession was the very tool that she had to have to build the Martha Graham technique, her own body. And Martha Graham herself was the bull that she had to slay, right? And so that's very, very powerful symbolism, I think, going on there. And, you know, unfortunately, the laws of nature kind of take over with everything material, and she was forced to release her most prized possession, her body. I think around 74, 75, she was still dancing, and her body just, I mean, it was running forever, like Taurus energy does, gave out by the law of nature, right? Eventually, anything that we own, right, does have to be released if it is material by the law of nature. And I think that was a very painful experience for her because after she stopped performing, she lost also that moon and Leo energy, wasn't getting attention. Where was the stage? Where was the theatricality? She wasn't getting those fundamental needs met to, you know, to feed that drama inside her. And she fell into alcoholism, I think, a little bit, and to depression. And that's when, at some point, I think she focused or was forced to focus on building her own company. Initially, she had said the only reason why I became a choreographer was so I could dance, right? That goes back to that King Minos idea, produce, right? It's got a little selfish, greedy edge there going on. And so now she's forced by evolution to kind of go into another phase and really focus on building her company. She brings in at that point in time, the associate director, Ron Protas, for the company. I'm quite sure his last name, Protas, Ron is his first name. And he was not a dancer. I don't think he was very respected by the dancers, but he did have a business background. I think he was a lawyer. Martha Graham was not a business person. Martha Graham was a drama queen. That was her specialty. She was a dancer. She was an artist, right? And unlike now, things were different in those days. Artists were artists and business people were business people. And if it weren't for him, I think it would have been very difficult for an actual structural foundation to really happen, to make this company exist. Yes, and so she decided to give up her legacy to this man. And when she passed away, he hoards it. This theme of attachment continuing on with Taurus and possession and ownership. And he does not let the Martha Graham Dance Company perform her works. I mean, it's so ridiculous. And so this whole court battle went on forever. And finally, the rights to her choreographic works, her creative genius, were given back to the company, and they were able to perform it. So, you know, there's this whole cycle, again, of ownership and attachment. Initially, she is forced by the law of nature to give up her body, right? And then she willingly, she's getting wiser now, probably in her 90s by now, willingly decides to give up her creative genius, yes? And that creative genius then gets hoarded by the very person who helped create the entity of the Martha Graham Dance Company, only so that finally this creative genius can be given back to its rightful ownership, the dancers themselves. Yes, and so here we have this full circle of attachment and release. Yes, and I think that really is what the Taurus mythology is all about, how we have to be able to detach to be able to truly own. And if we're willingly able to let go of what is dearest for us, then the essence of the spirituality of what this is can materialize itself and find a way to exist and survive and thrive on earth forever. This, I think, is the essence of the Martha Graham legacy from an astrological point of view.